Welcome to the Christina Crook Show, conscious conversations about life, business, and relationships. In this podcast, you get to eavesdrop on conversations that I've had with people that inspire me, people that have been introduced to me, people that I know well, and people that I'm just meeting. I was having these conversations for years without recording them, and I thought, sometimes some real beautiful wisdom comes out of meeting people that it's the first time meeting them. And sometimes wonderful things come out of conversations I have with friends. So why don't I have a podcast around conscious conversations? But more importantly, it's called the Christina Crook Show so that I can change my mind, so that we can play, we can laugh, we can dig into deep things, we can talk about humor and grief and creativity and entrepreneurship and all the things that come with life. So I hope through these episodes, whether it's this next one that's going to play soon, or one you've listened to before, one upcoming, you get to see this wonderful fabric of life, that there are many roads that lead to Rome, and Rome is your own inner home, that you see that no matter how much success someone has or hasn't had, we're all human at the end of the day. And the most important thing is to be you and to be as conscious as you're able and to grow and expand and be the best version of you. So I hope you walk away from this episode with insights. I hope it's an invitation back home to you. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments, things you liked, things you didn't. You can go to my website, ChristinaCrooks.com, and set up a call there, or you can email me directly, kcrooks, CROOKS, @empoweredhuman.com. Enjoy this episode. Hello, everyone. Today is Wednesday. Today is the day that the episode for the podcast comes out. And I have a few left to edit, but today I just wanted to be with you. Today I wanted it to just be me and you. And I took some time today to check in with the news. I rarely do that, but when I do, I try to get a decent view of what's going on, which sometimes makes me break into hives because the world's on fire, you guys. It's so chaotic. And at the same time, when has it not been? It's not like there's ever a point you turn on the news and everything is just going well, because that doesn't sell. If it bleeds, it leads. And that is the intention that a lot of news follows. The more sensational it is, the more dramatic it is, the more people read it. And people want to read things that help them prepare, that help them understand and points out the potential roadblocks or potential things that could go wrong in our world, which is a never-ending list. It's a never-ending list, you guys. So I spent about an hour looking up news stuff, and I came across the Parkland shooter. I didn't know that any part of that trial was still going on. I know that he had pled guilty, and I don't know what this newest version of the trial was, but I know that a lot of the parents were coming up and speaking directly to the shooter. A lot of them were angry. And I was reflecting on how I've processed my own grief with things and my own anger with things. I am a pretty bubbly, pretty joyful, pretty happy person. So people think that means I'm naive. I've heard that said before. When did this become a belief system for ours? When did it become a belief system that because we're happy, because we're grateful, because we're joyful, we're stupid? When did that come to be? I know my fair share of trauma and grief and anger and pain, but it does not define who I am. Not anymore. It used to. I used to be consumed by emotion. So I was reflecting on these things. I was watching these parents come forward and say their pain directly to the person that had caused that pain. And I had this thought, what does pronoia look like in the face of something as atrocious as that? Something that traumatic. And this young woman got up. Her name was Victoria Gonzalez. And she spoke, not from a script she wrote. She looked like she had some kind of notes, but she spoke from this place of depth, this place of love and consciousness. And this young woman couldn't be more than maybe 20, 22, if that. She was young, and yet she stood there with so much compassion and empathy and grace that I was moved. And I thought, how can I bring more of that into some of the harder spots in my own life and in the work that I do around ontology and pronoia and my own 7 keys to inner liberation? What does that look like when I'm holding space for others? What does it look like in myself when I'm holding space for a part of myself that is angry or upset or enraged or deeply sad? It looks like a lot of different things. Sometimes it means I need to listen to some music. Sometimes it means I need to do something completely different than what I had been doing. Sometimes it means I need to lean in more to that emotion and that feeling. Sometimes I need to lean out more of that emotion or that feeling. And it depends on the day. It depends on the context. But when I get quiet and I really ask myself what I need, the place that gives me an answer feels like how I was experiencing Victoria Gonzalez. I hope I can find her and have her on the podcast, because the way she spoke was, in my opinion, something we all need. All of the people that spoke, all of the ones I heard, could very easily be justified in how they feel. They lost their children. Some of them, it was their only child. They were gunned down at school. That's awful. And my heart breaks for them. I can feel it in my chest. I can feel the tears behind my eyes. I feel that. And I see Nicholas Cruz, the murderer of those kids, sitting there expressionless. But when this girl spoke, look her up on YouTube, look her up anywhere. Victoria Gonzalez speaking at the trial of Nicholas Cruz. And she addressed having had him in one of her classes and how she was thinking of him and considering him and sending him love before she even knew who he was. She didn't know who he was. He was just some other student in class. And if you watch his body language, that was the only time he really had any kind of visceral response. His eyes were blinking a lot, like he was holding back tears. He was breathing more heavily. And now I don't know more than what I saw, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. And none of this is meant to judge anything that's happening within that. But what I noticed is, here was this woman that was showing up in love in the face of atrocity. And I've always had so much respect for people that show up with love and grace and compassion, even when their anger, their grief, their pain is fully justified. Whether that's by the culture or by what happened or whatever it may be. So how many times in our lives, it can be small things that we feel justified in how we feel. And so we buckle down and we dig our heels in for that thing. But the real work is letting light in. The real work is letting love in. The real work is looking deeply within to find what's true for us. What's true for me is I am seeking the people that are seeking me that I can help, because I know what it's like to be in an emotional prison. I was there for the first 30 years of my life. There was one face I showed to the world and one way I felt internally. And I don't feel that way anymore. And if a thought that even mildly resembles that shows up in my life or in my mind, or it's reflected back to me from somebody else, I see that now as an opportunity to go deeper within me. Because the better I understand me, the better I can support you, the better I can support my neighbor, the better partner I am, the better daughter I am, the better friend I am. Something I have realized recently in groups that I facilitate is that we have a real hard time making room for anger, pain, and grief. There's this whole movement, and many people have heard me talk about it before, but with good vibes only. And I am not a fan. I'm a fan of good vibes, but I'm not a fan of good vibes only, because that's not who we are. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we have emotions that flow through us. We have circumstances that happen around us that impact us, that affect how we feel. And it's our job to find the best way to metabolize that so that we show up in the best version of ourselves. So what do you need to clean up in your life? What do you need to add, remove, or transform in order to show up in the best version of you? What does that look like? And if you want support with that, hello, I'm a coach. And I know that some people have a real visceral response to the word coach and the title of coach. And it just FYI, I'm exploring other titles. But I really, what I am is a humanistic ontologist. And even deeper than that, I'm a human. I'm a human running my own business, wanting to do the work that I'm good at, which is really deeply seeing you and understanding that we're all in this life together until we're not. Death is promised for all of us. So how are you living? How are your relationships? How's your business? How's your career? How's your work life? How's your work-life balance? How's your relationship with your children, your cousins, your brothers and sisters, your parents, your friends? These are things I think about all the time in everything I do, everything I do. And so today is a really contemplative day. And I've had other things I needed to show up for and other commitments to do. And in each of these, I've been thinking the last couple days, how can I be more me? How can I show up in more of me? And I am nowhere near perfect. Nowhere. Pretty sure I'm ADD. I've been pretty sure of that for years. And the last week has been filled with squirrel moments. let me go to this. Let me go do this. Let me go do this. And it's these little pieces of things that I need to allocate more time to fully complete. And it's been challenging. But what's also been challenging is seeing people that I care about stuck in their emotional prison. I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like. And I know what it feels like to be out of it. To be able to walk outside and go, oh, today is an amazing day. It's an amazing day. And to be able to have conversations with people that have done way more, had way more financial success, career success, business success. I get to facilitate those. Like, that's amazing. In the evenings, I work in a restaurant to make sure that my basic bills are paid, regardless of the up and down that coaching can be financially. And I'm still human. With as much knowledge as I have, and I have been a seeker of wisdom for decades. With all that I have taken in and all that I have experienced in this 39 years of life, I still have emotion come up. And I still need to process it. When I saw that woman speak about Parkland and about her friend Joaquin that was killed, I thought, how can I step into my life more fully? Even if it's just 0.5%, how can I show up more fully in everything I do? And I don't have all the answer to that, but I'm exploring it for myself. How can I deepen? How can I get clearer? How can I share the things I want to share in a less verbose way? All of those things. And how can I reach the people that I know I can support that are also looking for me? How can I reach them? Is it through here? Is it through social media? Is it through one-on-one conversations? Is it more referrals? I don't know. So at the end of the day, what's most important is, how do we live? So I invite you into that question. How are you living? If you taste test your life, do you love it? Do you kind of like it? Do you kind of love it? Do you sometimes love it and not love it? Are you working through traumas that are holding you back from experiencing more of the awe in life? And it acts like a cloud of being able to really experience the beauty. And that is not a judgment. If that's where you are, that's where you are. How can all of us live more fully? I hope you have a great week, and I'll catch you next Wednesday. Thank you for listening to The Christina Crook Show, conscious conversations about life, business, and relationships. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you feel so inspired, I would love for you to leave a review or a comment on the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. If you're watching us on YouTube, we would love comments in the comment section. If there's a guest you'd like back, let us know. And if you'd like to learn more about the guest, please do explore the show notes, where you can find all of their information, their website, their social links, all those kinds of things. I hope you walk away with insights. And if there's any way I can support you in what you're trying to create in the world, please do reach out. You can find me on my website, ChristinaCrooks.com, or you can reach out by email, kcrooks, CROOKS, @empoweredhuman.com. Go out and have a great day.